This podcast may contain adult language, adult situations, and some movie spoilers, so listener discretion is advised.
You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Cool?
Jack Burton, me.
You're a bluebird. You're a brownie. You're a Girl Scout cookie.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
I used to love doggy chow. I used to love doggy chow too.
Want a date? Going out? Looking for some action? Need some company?
This is a snakeskin jacket. For me, it's a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom.
It's not important, okay? You're not important. Get used to it.
Baby, you are gonna miss that plane.
Welcome to the Cinema Recall Podcast. Hello again, and welcome to this bonus episode of the Cinema Recall Podcast. I found an older episodes for you here, so I'm going to put them inside your ear hole right now. Our guest is David Rosen from Piecing It Together, and him and I are going to talk about Alien. Now, this is for our 31 Days of Horror series that we did a while back, but since the Parkway Theater is screening Alien in glorious 35mm, I thought it would be a very fun thing to post our episode that we did on Alien for you today. Please check out all the great features over the Parkway Theater. They have wonderful movies, and our good friend Earl Lutz is going to be screening it in 35mm. It's going to be epic and awesome, so I hope you enjoy that conversation. And then after that, I have my short review of American Werewolf in London, since it's celebrating its anniversary this week. So you're getting 2 discussions, one with me and David, and then later it's just me talking about the werewolf movie. So yeah, so enjoy. Don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms, such as Instagram and Twitter. Fuck you, I'm not calling it that. Twitter, and then Facebook. Our website is cinemarecall.net. We have another full episode with Ashley and I on Friday, so check that one out as well. Anyway, folks, I dabbled on long enough. Love you all very much dearly, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.
This podcast is a proud member of the That Moment In podcast network. Check out the network at thatmomentin.com.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this another episode of the Cinema Recall Podcast. I'm your host, the Vern, and we are in the midst of doing our 31 Days of Halloween / horror extravaganza. And for this episode, I brought along with me a really great guest. Been a big fan of his podcast since I started listening to it. Is the host of Piecing It Together, David. Hello, David. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Well, very cool. Definitely want to have you on the show. Been a big fan of Piecing It Together because it is a very different style of podcast that I am used to hearing. Instead of just doing a review of a movie, which you do on your show, you and your guests that you bring along, you make other recommendations to match with the movie that you're reviewing. Can you tell our listeners how that whole show got started and anything more about it?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, I definitely wanted to, do a movie show, but I wanted to kind of have, just a different kind of format, rather than just being a review show, because, there's a lot of great ones out there already. And so I kind of came up with this idea. It's something that I do tend to think about a lot when thinking about movies is, what other movies were they drawing from? What were their inspirations? And I certainly don't look at that as a bad thing, because I think every movie is inspired by other things that came before it. And so I like to describe it as looking at a new movie through the lens of what old movies it was inspired by. And so, yeah, me and my guests, we get to talk about the movie, and rather than just straight reviewing it, which of course we do along the way, we get to talk about all these other classics along the way as well. And you end up at the end of the show with a nice list of recommendations, sometimes even some movies to stay away from. Like, it might seem similar, but you don't want to go back to that one. But yeah, I mean, it's a great different way, I think, of looking at movies, and it opens up the conversation to talking about so much more.
And what I love the best about it is that it does educate listeners and movie lovers on other films that they can definitely check out. It's like, if you liked this movie, you should watch this.
Yeah.
And even if the movies that are not good, you can be like, you're not going to like this movie maybe, but it does kind of match the themes that are going on with this. So if you like the themes that are discussed in so-and-so, you're going to like it discussed in this other movie.
Exactly.
So I really enjoy that.
Well, I appreciate that you enjoy it and just how you're describing the show. I mean, that I love that. That's awesome.
Nice. Well, we're here today to talk about the movie Alien and our favorite moments, and I definitely want to get into that section, but we're going to stop and play some really quick ad spots from other great podcast shows that we think you should listen to. All right, so we'll be back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Here's a few reasons why you should be listening to the Unwritable Rant podcast with host Juliet Miranda. She can tell a great story.
If you can't play dead, play drunk. And it works, I swear.
She interviews celebrities that have great stories.
If we have a cousin that's kind of strange, we don't put him away or tuck him away. We set him on an old dryer out in the front yard with alcohol and let him wave at people.
Right. And then you tell your friends about it.
And she's tolerant and loves kids.
So these kids go running up after the ball, and I stand up and I yell, "Kids die in the street all the time."
So head on over to theunwritablерant.com and listen to the show.
Hey, I'm Rico.
I'm Jessica, and we host the Always the Critic podcast.
Our show is just a couple of friends reviewing and talking about the latest movies.
And even on occasion, some throwback favorites.
Except, we literally have zero qualifications to do so.
Yeah, we don't really know what we're doing.
But we sure have a great time watching movies.
And asking important questions like...
Can Will Smith sing?
How many more John Wick movies are they going to make?
DC or Marvel?
Pine Sol or Fabuloso? You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more.
Don't forget to check us out on social media to stay up to date on our latest episodes and reviews. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at AlwaysCriticPod.
Give us a listen. No film degrees.
No connections.
No experience necessary.
Because when it comes to film, we're always the critic.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
All right, we are back here for the Cinema Recall podcast, doing our 31 days of horror/Halloween extravaganza, talking about the movie Alien, Ridley Scott's 1979 feature, starring, of course, Sigourney Weaver, John Hurt, Harry Dean Stanton, Ian Holm, Yaphet Kotto. And it is about Tom Skerritt, forgot to mention him, a few others. And it's about a crew that gets a distress signal out in space. There are this mining crew. They get this distress signal from another planet. They go there to investigate. They find this weird spaceship and a few aides. One of the crew members, played by John Hurt, discovers this sea of AIDS, and he gets this thing attached to his face, and he goes back up into the ship, And then more stuff starts happening. If you've seen this movie before, you know what goes on, but you haven't. I don't want to give any spoilers, because there might be people out there that are listening to this that don't know Alien. I don't know who these people are, but I'm sure there's probably are people out there like that. But I'm going to ask you right now, David, when did you first see Alien?
So that's an interesting question, because I am sure I saw it like back in high school, and I'm sure I saw it multiple times. Yet last week they had the 40th anniversary screenings in theaters, and so I went and watched it in preparation for this. And I'm sitting there in the theater, and like 30, 40 minutes in, I'm like, have I seen Alien before, or do I just know its place in pop culture? It was like watching a new movie for me. That's how long it must have been since the last time I saw it. And I'm sure I watched it back when I was like a teenager, many, many, many years ago. But it felt like the first time, that's for sure, last week.
Well, movies in theaters always seem to do that. No matter how many times you may have seen a movie on video or whatnot, seeing it on a big screen is always going to make that big different impression. Like, wait, have I seen this before? Am I seeing a different cut of this? For me, I know I saw Aliens first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that was a movie that I watched when I was a young kid, like, over and over again, because one of my friends had a copy and we just watched it. And I had no idea that there was another movie before Aliens. I just always thought it was just Aliens and that was it. And it wasn't until Alien 3 came out, and I was like, wait a minute, Alien 3? Why is it? What happened to Alien 1? Was there an Alien 1? And that's when my parents were like, yeah, there's an Alien 1. You should totally watch it. And they got this special box set that had Aliens, and then like a 30-minute preview of Alien 3. So that's when I first watched Alien, and I was really kind of surprised that it was a horror feature, because Aliens is like this action-packed extravaganza. Alien really kind of like takes its time. It's almost like being in a haunted house type of scenario when you watch it. And at a young age, I was generally, very disturbed by that movie. Especially certain sequences that happened in the middle with John Hurt's character at a dinner table scene. That really kind of affected me. But my overall impressions of Alien when I first watched it, well, the first time when I was young, 13 years old, 14, I was like, kind of slow, I mean, it's got some good moments in there, but I want more action in this.
Sure.
As I watched it years later on, I liked the time and the pace that Ridley Scott and his filmmakers took with that feature, and it made it into a very legitimate horror feature. And I think the horror works because you really care about these characters, these space miners, and you just really just buy into their characters. They take time with it before they introduce the horror elements. Most other horror movies, when you watch them, the first scene has to be something of horror. Like, it would establish that there's an alien creature out there, and then it would show the crew. But for this one, you get to see the crew wake up and go through their procedures, and you get to find all about their dynamics. So I just want to ask you about that, like just kind of the general impressions you got from the movie.
Sure, yeah. And, I think to the point of it being slow, and I do, agree it can definitely be looked at as slow. However, I think almost more to me than the characters, I think the insanely beautiful production design and effects really kind of make it where you don't mind so much that, things are moving at such a slower pace. Because, I mean, just to witness everything on display, the craftsmanship of those set designs and all the stuff on the planet, as well as in the ship and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it is just beautiful. All that the Geiger stuff and everything. It's just so beautiful to look at, and that makes it where you don't even really mind the the pacing so much. But then, of course, there's a great story to go along with it as well, which of course also adds to the pace being deliberate and on purpose and adding to the tension.
Yeah, because, I mean, you got this crew, they're probably on the road, or in space, I should say, for like a really long time. They're wanting to go home, they just woke up from a long hypersleep, and then they get this signal that they have to go and do more work, and then when they do actually discover the spaceship. Now, in this particular movie, I do know for the fact that Tom Skerritt, I think his character is Dallas, he's the main captain of the ship. He's the owner of it. He just gets his orders from up high to go on this planet. Doesn't want to do it, but he's like, well, I got my orders, I gotta do this. So they get down to the planet, and then John Hurt gets attached, and then after that moment when John Hurt gets his face attacked by that creature, the face hugger, it was during that moment where there seemed to be kind of a shift in power, because Sigourney Weaver's character of Ripley, she knows that there's something wrong with letting John Hurt's character aboard the ship, but Ian Holm's character just disobeys her orders and just lets him on, and during those moments you kind of start to see Ripley become kind of a main character, which is kind of interesting because she's not really established as the main character at the start. Most movies, they kind of establish their main character from the very beginning, but this one, the main character is kind of discovered throughout it, and it's kind of a really brilliant thing that you don't see much in narrative film a lot of days, where you don't really know who your main character is until the very end of it, and I just found that to be just kind of a fascinating thing, and that's what I really kind of love and appreciate about this movie. And I love the fact, too, that in Alien, yes, there is an alien creature that is chasing after these people, but he's not necessarily the main villain of it. And I don't know if you disagree or agree with me on that, but...
Sure. Yeah, no, and I think that a lot of that comes from this being... the tail end of the 70s, and, they were experimenting with all kinds of new, new ideas in what film could be and everything like that. And, I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but I mean, I guess it makes sense, following that up. But I do feel like Alien, in a lot of ways, being 1979, it's almost like a cutoff point from movies that, maybe some people might consider older movies, quote unquote, to movies that feel like newer movies and that are like trying new things and are moving into what's going to be happening in the 80s and even into the 90s and beyond. And I feel like Alien really does almost seem like a line in the sand in a way.
Well, yeah, because to me, like, Alien feels very much like it's harkened back to, like, 50s haunted house horror films. And also, like, creature films from that area as well. And I know with Jaws being, like, a big success back in 1875, I wonder if 20th Century Fox is like, well, we want to have another creature feature. What are we going to do with our creature feature that's going to kind of set it apart from those other movies? Because we don't want to have another, like, radioactive type creature, all right, that gets discovered. We want to do something that is different. I think my favorite thing about this movie is also how it was advertised. Because you watch the old trailers and TV spots, it didn't really give you any exposition about what the plot was about. It just showed a bunch of, like, quick cuts to the movie and a giant egg that cracks and that loud screaming noise that you hear, and just had the tagline in space, no one can hear you scream. And that's all you needed for a trailer spot to get people into the movie. It didn't tell you anything about what it's about. You had no idea, but it just kind of just sold you on that whole thing. And I think it was really kind of brilliant how they put that all together for that.
That's another thing with horror movies specifically is, sometimes you watch a movie that's considered a classic horror movie and you kind of have to put yourself in the shoes of, what would it have been like to see that for the first time back when it came out to really fully appreciate it. Alien, I think, always is going to hold up as scary no matter what.
Yeah, because, you just recently saw this in the theaters, and I imagine it probably still held up.
Oh, yeah.
From what I'm actually telling me there. Gosh, well, I definitely want to get right now into our favorite moments, but I gotta know about the theatrical experience of seeing Alien on the big screen. I imagine, the opening score.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the score is fantastic, and that I was saying earlier about the effects and the production design and all that. That is the thing that stood out to me the most. Especially when they're on the alien planet and walking through the ship and all that stuff, and some of that design work, just the way it just pops on the big screen and just your eyes are just kind of darting all over the place because there's so much to look at.
Yeah,
just so well done and so beautiful,
even in the opening sequence when the camera's just kind of going through the ship, made its way through everything before you start seeing the hyper sleep chambers.
Yeah.
I watched this a few weeks ago on my Laserdisc edition.
Ooh.
And even though quality wasn't all that great, I still enjoyed all the little details that were in that ship, and I can just imagine seeing it projected that huge. Had it been amazing. All right.
Gorgeous.
So, if you had to rate Alien, what would you give the rating as before I start talking about our moments?
We going out of 5?
Yeah, out of 5.
I would probably go with a solid 4, maybe 4.5,
okay.
but solid 4
okay.
though.
Solid 4, okay, very good. I don't know. Alien and Aliens both get a solid 5 for me. I just really enjoy every aspect of that movie. I can't find any major flaws with it at all. But let's start talking about our favorite moments. That's what we're here for. That's what Cinema Recall is all about. So I'm going to have you go first, and don't be afraid of any spoilers from this point on.
Okay.
So just go into it. Tell us what your favorite moment is of Alien and why.
So I almost was going to go with the obvious one, the chest bursting scene. But I decided to go with something a little different, though. I went with the scene where they discover what people have gone on to call the space jockey in the crashed alien ship. And first of all, like I was saying earlier about the design of everything and just looking through that ship and just there's so much just beautiful production design. It's just absolutely incredible to look at. But on top of that, I am in the maybe minority in that I actually really like what eventually happened many, many years later with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. They're certainly not perfect movies by any means, but to set up such mystery with that scene and to wait so many years to really pay off that mystery in any way. And of course, I don't know how much was planned in advance and how much they just, it's 2013 or whatever, and we got to come up with something. Let's go back to the space jockey. I don't know how much was actually in Ridley Scott and the screenwriters' minds back then. But I just love the idea of setting up some kind of mystery and not ever explaining it, in the movie at all, and just leaving it as something of an Easter egg for fans to theorize about and to just think about and to just really have no answer. And it adds to the not only the scariness of the movie, but also to the wonder of the movie and to just how amazing the movie is, I think. It's just very, very interesting to me to set something that big up and not give you any kind of answers, at least until now. Now we've got some answers.
Yeah. No, That's very true. I just didn't really think about that before. Now we didn't talk about this earlier, but H.R. Giger did design the alien creature, how it looked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even quite sure too if he had anything to do with that space jockey sequence or how the design looked. I mean, I do know that Michael Seymour was the production designer of Alien. But it seems like the way that the space jockey looks, and even the look of the spaceship that they go to, that seems to be very much H.R. Giger, I don't know the right way to pronounce the name, is very much influenced. And yeah, I mean, when they go into that ship and you do see that there, your mind starts racing around with other questions like, what is this? Who is this person? Is he an alien creature himself? I kind of thought that when I first saw this movie, that he was like one of the main like pilots of the alien ship, and he's basically carrying around all these aids.
Yeah.
But it may turn out that the alien creatures invaded that ship, and it just got crash landed because everyone else has died. So. It also leads to other questions too about how did the aids get there? Is there a queen still available? Because we do find out in Aliens that there is actually a queen alien who is laying the aids. But did the queen alien leave the ship? Was she actually still around that planet when they landed there? I don't know. Did she die? I'm not quite sure. She must have gone off to another facility or something.
Yeah. A lot of people like to complain about the characters and plot of these movies, but one thing I really don't think you can complain about is the world building, I guess, for lack of a better word. There is just so much to think about with these movies, and I love a movie that you can just kind of just sit around and just ponder and just come up with theories all day about.
And I think these theories can actually lead into a lot of good fan fiction for this, because I do know that Dark Horse was a comic book series. They made a lot of good comic book series about aliens, and I read a few of them, and they're actually really, really quite good. They actually dive a little bit more into other things that happen with the alien creatures, also with Wayland Corporations, which is the same corporation team that hired our space and marine crew to hunt down this. So it's kind of funny too that in this one movie, even though it wasn't setting up a franchise, it was still kind of set up a franchise in a way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's just so many ideas at play, and it's, there's no way to know how many of those ideas were ever expected to be, continued or anything, but I mean, there's just so much happening in this movie.
Well, I want to talk briefly too about Dan O'Bannon, who wrote the screenplay for this. Before this movie, he did a feature with John Carpenter called Dark Star, which is a comedy movie about people in space who discover an alien creature, not as all terrifying as Alien. And then the only other movie that I know he was part of is the Return of the Living Dead movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I just find that to be kind of a funny thing for his career, for him to do from a comedy space film to a serious horror film, back to another comedy horror feature.
Totally.
Yeah, I just found it to be kind of a fascinating thing. But yeah, there's a whole I guess documentary about Alien that's being made for theaters, which I'm kind of curious to watch as well. What's I gonna say here now? Well, getting on to one of my favorite moments of the movie. Do you have anything else to say about your moments before I go into mine? I don't want to step on toes here.
No, I'm looking forward to hearing about yours.
Okay, so my favorite moment. See, I also talked about the chestburster sequence.
Yeah.
In fact, let's do this right now. I'm just going to play, just so we know what your listeners are talking about, I'm going to play a small clip from the chest burster sequence. Alright, so I'm going to play a clip of that right now, and then I'll explain my clip. So this is the famous chest burster sequence from Alien. So in the movie, John Hurt's character, he had a thing attached to his face, and after trying to take it off, they couldn't take it off with any knives or anything, because you find out that the alien creature has acid for blood. Well, the creature does go away after a few days, and now we have this scene.
So, we were lost. None of us knew where we were. And then Harry began feeling around on all the trees. And he said, I got it. We on Pluto. And we said, Harry, how can you tell? He said, from the bark, you dummies! From the bark!
Is he all right?
Yeah, the guy digs me. Hey, what's wrong with this guy? I don't know. Bring us some water! Water my ass! Bring this guy some Pepto-Bismol! Waitress! What did he order?
Oh, he had a special.
That's what I ordered! I changed my order to the soup. Good move.
Oh, no. Not again.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me. Then you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own.
Check, please.
Alright, so that was a sequence from Alien. Really terrifying stuff there, folks. Okay, if you actually know what that was from, leave me a comment there. I said I put that in there. But no, the actual moment that I'm going to talk about from Alien happens way after that. Now, in this movie, there has been a lot of confrontation between Sigourney Weaver's character Ripley and Ian Holm's character of Ash. And Ash is like the science officer. He is the one that's really adamant about keeping this creature alive. Because after the alien bursts out of the chest, everyone just wants to kill it. But Ash is the one that really wants to try and save it. He wants to save, after the facehugger attacked John Hurt's character. He wanted to help experiment on that, and he just is really, he's not interested in destroying the species. He wants to study it. He wants to know everything about it. Ripley, on the other hand, Sigourney Weaver's character, she just wants to find what's the best way to get rid of this creature, get off the ship, and so that everyone is safe. And there comes a key moment in the movie when Sigourney Weaver's character Ripley finds out that their crew is expendable, because she's trying to talk to the computer system, which is called Mother, and she's trying to find out how to stop the alien creature, and it comes back to her in text form that there's no way to stop this, the crew is expendable, and she finds about the whole mission plan. And right when she finds this out, Ash comes in, tries to explain what happened, and obviously Ripley's upset, so she tries to attack him, and then he comes after her, and he starts to choke her, and he takes a rolled up, and I don't know if you can't really tell in the movie, but it's actually a rolled up porno magazine that he's shoving into her throat. Because in the movie, in earlier, we know that the facehugger creature is basically impregnating men, and I've heard a lot of people say that this movie is sort of the horror of men getting pregnant. It's definitely very much a rape movie for men, and I heard a lot of people describe it as being that way. So now to have Ash attack a female creature in kind of a phallic way with the porno magazine being shoved down her throat. The other crew members come by to help stop Ash from attacking her, and I believe Yaphet Kotto's character, he comes by and has to actually smash Ash over the head with a fire extinguisher, and then you find out that when the head comes off, Ash was an android the whole time. And when I knew about the chestburster sequence from other movies, like the kind of clip I played earlier, I kind of knew about that sequence, so when I saw that in movies, it was scary, but the thing about Ash being an android the whole time just really surprised me about it. And I was just totally taken back. I never thought he was an android. But when I rewatched it again, there are clues that he was an android in the beginning. There's a sequence when you kind of see him running in place. And I think that was a way for him to get his battery started again when he did that. But yeah, I like the sequence a lot because it really surprised me. Probably the biggest surprise. And I'm pretty sure people today, when they watch it, they don't remember that he's an android. And even when you rewatch again, you just kind of forget that he is until that moment comes up. But yeah, just and also the whole reveal too, that they found out that the crew is expendable, that this was a corporate mission, and in a way that kind of feels like it's a message about the military government sending people down for missions, even though it's a lose situation.
Sure. Yeah.
I kind of feels that way as well. But yeah, that's just one of my favorite moments of the movie. Also my other favorite moment here too is probably gotta be the very ending of the movie. Like when you think it's going to end, when you think that it does end, when Ripley actually does leave, and you think that everything's fine. I have to ask you this now. When you saw this in theaters, now I'm going to try and set the stage for you, David. All right, but it's at the sequence when she thinks that she's safe. She made it out to the escape pod, and she's she's getting ready for hypersleep and everything like that, getting changed, and then you see the alien was in that escape pod the whole time. What were the reactions like from people in your screening? Did you have a lot of people at your screening when you went and saw it?
There were, but I have a feeling that everybody had seen it many times before, because they certainly weren't like, there wasn't like gasps or anything like that, like it was their first time or anything.
Okay. Oh gosh, I really want to take my niece to see this because she's becoming a much more horror aficionado, and so I just wanted to see her reaction.
Oh, I'm sure.
To that's there.
Yeah. Anybody who hasn't seen it before probably would be shocked.
On a different story right there, I went and saw The Shining back on the big screen, and there were people in there that had never seen The Shining before, and there were actually some really kind of good gaps and screams.
Nice.
During that feature. That's always kind of fun to see, that a movie that's so old can still generate that type of tension. So, and I think that if now Matrix recently had its 20th anniversary, but it played like all the time, so people could catch up with it. I kind of wish they did the same thing for Alien, because I think if it had more screenings, more people would be able to witness that for the first time. But
sure.
When you saw that end sequence, and I didn't want to go into another sequence again there, but that was also when you're not, the alien hand just comes out.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of a brilliant timing effect. It's probably one of the best kind of jump scares. And then you see him come out there. Yeah,
Oh yeah. No, it's
really
it just leads to the overall just scariness of that creature design. I mean, it's just such a cool creature.
And it's so cool too because it's not done with any CGI effects. It's just basically just kind of a guy in a suit, but it all has to do with like Leighton, and also the use of production design and acting. It's just really kind of an amazing type of experience. So I really got nothing else to say more about my sequence with Ash. Was there any other things you want to mention about Alien? I know it's a movie that a lot of people have seen. If you have never seen Alien and you're kind of hesitant, you're like, well, I've kind of seen clips on YouTube and it looks, oh, all right. Kind of like watch it from the beginning. Let it take its time with you. It's gonna feel like it's a slow movie because there's no scares that happen right away. And that's one of the things I love about it, the fact that it doesn't give you a scary moment right away and it just kind of lets you take its time a little bit. I think what makes it scary for me is that it sets up the fact that these characters are being isolated in space.
Right.
And that and when this creature comes in, they really can't just leave. It's not just, well, if they're in a haunted house, why don't they just leave? And it's like, well, they can't. They're in space. They're going to get killed if they try and leave right away.
Just goes to show they had the perfect tagline
Yeah.
when they were marketing this thing, because it really is true.
Yeah, I know, right? What is your take on the other Alien movies? Like, for me, Alien and Aliens are just kind of like one movie. And so if I watch one, I have to watch the other one just right next to it. Because I think Aliens ends perfectly, and I kind of like disavow the other movies. Like for me, Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, that kind of feels like Ripley's dream. Like I'm in a dream sequence with Ripley. Because I don't think those are real features. Those to me are dream features.
Sure. Yeah, I know people who have been trying to talk me into rewatching Alien 3 lately, who say that it really is a lot better than any of us remember. And I haven't seen it since the theater. Same for Resurrection. So yeah, those two movies are just like one and done. I haven't seen them since they came out. Aliens, though, I mean, is it's pretty great. I love Aliens also.
Yeah, I know. We could do also another episode just talking about Aliens as well.
Totally.
Alien 4 is a fun feature. Have you ever seen the show Firefly?
I certainly know of it, but I've never actually watched it.
Okay, well, if you watch Firefly, Alien Resurrection feels like a blueprint to that show. A lot of the characters, their motivations, their mannerisms kind of match the characters from Firefly or the movie Serenity, and I find it to be a lot of fun. It's Sigourney Weaver is great in that. I'm not going to tell you what happens with the character. I know a lot of people hate that movie, but I kind of tend to enjoy that one as being kind of a silly space flick. I would kind of wish it wasn't called Alien Resurrection. I wish it was just called another title. Because it doesn't really have anything. It does have stuff to do with Alien, but it could have just been changed to not be, and it still would have been a fine enough movie. So that's what I'm going to say right now. But yeah, we're getting close. I didn't realize that this is going to be closing the show because I think we just got done talking about our movies, or our moments, and our enjoyment of Alien. Got nothing real else to say about it.
One last thing I wanted to mention, actually.
Sure, yeah.
So, with the 40th anniversary and everything, I just hope people, get into the alien excitement and really kind of push the message that we want to see more of this universe, because I really want Alien Awakening to happen. I want to complete that David story from Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and most likely it'll line up to the beginning of Alien, and we'll finally get to complete that story. I want them to finish these damn movies. Right now, it's up in the air. It's totally up in the air whether it's going to happen, especially with the Disney buyout. That really made it like where that on top of Alien Covenant not exactly doing that great in the box office, but I just really want to see that happen. So people, if there's more Alien screenings, go see them and just get excited about Alien stuff.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention too, speaking about the 40th anniversary, did you hear about that high school that redid Alien on stage?
Yeah, I never got to watch any of the clips of that, but I did hear about that.
I did. Someone recorded it on for YouTube. I think one of the people allowed for cameras to be shown there, and I was really impressed with that. Yeah, so the school out in New York or New Jersey, they had their high school put on a play of Alien, and it's cool too because they actually do have a replicate of the space jockey sequence right there, which is very impressive. They had great use of Leighton, and I gotta say, for a high school production, it was really good. I mean, it was probably better than most other remakes or whatnot have done. I was just really just kind of blown away the level of detail, and they had a cool like alien, this guy in an alien suit. And they actually had a very interesting thing for the chest burster sequence. They just had a guy on a table, and they just had a guy with a hand puppet come up and just do the little alien come out of the chest. But they were able to like project blood coming out of him.
That's awesome.
I guess it was just really. If you try and find it on YouTube, Alien high school stage play, I'm pretty sure they might still have some clips available. But it was really just kind of blown away. In fact, I think that both Ridley Scott and Sigourney Weaver have seen the production of it, and Sigourney Weaver actually came and surprised the cast members before they went on stage. And that's got to be probably one of the coolest things, that the star of the movie that you're performing on, or whatever, the star of the main movie shows up to your high school to greet you and everything. That's got to be the coolest thing for those kids.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's to wrap up our episode on Alien. Definitely hope everyone does check it out. David, got any sort of like plugs for upcoming episodes of Piecing It Together that you want to share, plug away, or anything you want to talk about with the show? And tell our listeners where they can find you as well.
Right on. Yeah. Well, Piecing It Together is available probably wherever you're listening to this great podcast. And you can find us on social media at PiecingPod and our website, piecingpod.com. We also have a Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we talk about all these movies. So, yeah, everybody, I love being on this show, and I just love talking about movies, you know?
Very cool, very cool. Well, David, thank you so much for being on our show. Cinema Recall will be back soon. We're finishing up our 31 Days of Horror. I do know that once October ends, I'm taking a long, little bit hiatus from podcasting. Yeah, you can definitely find me on social media such as cinema_recall on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Just type in Cinema Recall Podcast. Email us, cinemarecall@gmail.com. Send us your ad spots. Send us any type of suggestions. Send us your ad spots. We want to play more of those on the air, and then on the site I will post links to the ad spots we play. Also post links to David and all of his sites and everything like that on our main Anchor site. We're on Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. Anywhere you can find great podcasts, just search Cinema Recall. I do know that after October, I'm going to start putting together a website for Cinema Recall, so it makes it easier for people to find shows. But anyways, folks, it's a little bit late right now, and I'm going to go. It's probably the afternoon for me, the morning for David, but we're going to go right now. Thank you so much for listening, and enjoy the rest of your week. Hey, you're still here, and I'm very grateful you are. Hi, it's me, Vern again. First of all, thank you for listening to that section with David Rosen of Piecing It Together, talking about Alien. David is a great cat. His podcast is very cool, and you should definitely check it out. Now, moving on, before we get into my short review of American Werewolf in London, this is part of the show where I give a quick shout out to all of our wonderful Patreon members. Again, patreon.com/cinemarecallpod. This is where you'll get episodes early in advance. I'm going to start posting some bonus videos. That should be happening sometime soon, but it's a great way to support the show. And if you sign up for our tiers, we have two tiers. One's a $5 tier, one's a $10 tier. $5 tier, you get episodes early. The $10 tier Patreon members, you get a chance to be on an episode. You have a chance to be on an episode, pick any topic you want. There's an entertainment realm there, and we'll do it whatever you want to do. So here we go, folks. Just a quick shout out of all of our wonderful Patreon members in no special order. We gotta thank Jeanette Miller from AKA Jeanette. Thank you very much, Jeanette. We gotta thank Donnie Roberts, formerly of Cage's Kiss, now writes the Deep Sea Anthologies. Thank you very much, Donnie Roberts. We have to thank Linda Castro of Bed Knobs in Broomflits. Thank you very much, Linda. We gotta thank Jason Soto of Rabbit Hole Podcast. Thank you very much, Jason Soto. We gotta thank Matt and Ashley of Matchley at the Movies. Thank you very much, Matt and Ashley. We gotta thank Harvey Andrus, formerly of our band Your Ex-Girlfriend, but also a cool $10 Patreon member. Thank you, Harvey Andrus. And lastly, we gotta thank Jen McQuaid from Shot and Applaud. Again, Jen, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you all of our Patreon members. Love you all very dearly. Let's go ahead and get into my review of American Werewolf in London. This was recorded a ways back when we did season 2 of our 31 Days of Horror. So if I do plug stuff, it's from the past, folks. Anyways, love you all dearly, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye. Hello everyone, the Vern here from Cinema Recall, here to tell you about Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio app for your iOS and Android phone. It picks up the most trending articles on the web and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time ever, the entire web becomes listenable. Stop scrolling, start listening, go to newsly.me, use the promo code RECALL, and get 1 month free of their premium service. Check it out, and now, back to the show.
Hello again, me popsicles, and welcome to Season 2 of Science Fiction Remnant.
Go ahead and grab your multipass, a drink, and sit back with us and geek out about sci-fi.
Let's pick each other's brain. We want you to be part of our intimate conversation about science fiction topics.
And hang around to the end of the episodes for the real-world science that was inspired by your favorite science fiction.
Let's do this. Let's talk about science fiction topics in books, movies, TV shows, and games.
At Science Fiction Remnant, you are invited to listen in.
Listen now on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify, Anchor,
Audible, GoodPods,
or whatever you listen to podcasts.
You can catch the video pods on our YouTube a month later.
And don't forget your multipass, you me popsicles.
Science Fiction Remnant is brought to you by the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi. No cat and cuties were harmed in the making of this commercial. Ba, 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 ba.
Hello everybody, it's me, the Vern from the Cinema Recall Podcast. We are in the midst of doing our 31 Days of Horror / Halloween extravaganza, and I think we're now on our 12th post of this month, and I just cannot express how grateful I am to everyone in the horror community for retweeting or sharing these posts. Really greatly appreciate that. So on today's show, I want to give you my quick thoughts on probably the first horror comedy hybrid. I mean, there has been tons of horror comedies throughout the years, but the first movie to actually show scenes that are horrifying and then shows scenes that are funny, or sometimes in the same breath, is American Werewolf in London. Written and directed by John Landis, who before this made Blues Brothers and Animal House, and it stars David Naughton, Griffin Dunn, Jenny Arcatier. I'm trying to mess up these names, I know, but it's a story about two Americans who are backpacking through England. Of course, this is David Naughton and Griffin Dunn's character, and while they're all backpacking, they are attacked by a vicious werewolf. So Griffin Dunn's character is killed, but David Naughton's character, he survives the attack. And throughout the movie, he keeps seeing images of his dead friend, warning him that he's going to become a werewolf and kill people, and the only way to get rid of the curse is to kill himself. He gets involved with a beautiful young nurse. Sorry, David Naughton's character gets involved with a beautiful young nurse, played of course by Jenny Arcatier, and it's just a story about a guy who's turned into a wolf and killing people. Now, the makeup effects in this movie are astounding. Rick Baker did this, and they won the Academy Awards, and they so deserved to win the Academy Awards, because they are just wonderful. Mind blown. Even today, you watch those effects, and you are just in awe. You're in awe because it was not done with any CGI, and it looks like he's physically turning into a werewolf. I mean, you're hearing the bones stretch and break, and you're seeing his mouth get longer to form the snout of a wolf. It looks painful. I remember seeing clips of this when I was a kid and just thinking how painful that looks. And it still looks painful even to this day. So yeah, the makeup effects in this still hold up. 5 stars. I still think the story of this is good. As far as scare factors, it does have a few moments where you do kind of jump, especially when it shows the reveal of Jack's character, because he plays this person who's undead, and his skin and his face keeps looking awful and more awful as the days go by. But I kind of have to agree with other podcasts and shows or reviews that once the movie does start to get going, it ends a bit too fast. I mean, once David does fully change into the wolf, I just feel like it ends a bit too fast. And I don't believe that there's too much of horror factors. I mean, there is. It's a good movie, but I feel like it's a little bit too short. I like the balance and tone of horror, especially there's a moment when David's character meets up with all the past victims that he's killed, and he meets up with them in a porno theater. And apparently, the movie that they're watching, the porno screen, that was another spoof. It's not even a real movie. It's one called See You Next Wednesday, also directed by John Landis. So yeah, I find the whole kind of like juxtaposition of like having these characters tell David's character certain ways that he should kill himself to break the curse in the midst while they're watching this porn film. It's just really kind of funny. I think it's a great movie, but if you watch the movie, you're gonna watch it just mainly for the special effects, and that's it, and that's fine. I mean, they are really incredible, and I think you should watch it just for that. As far as the storyline goes, it's good. I just don't think there is enough of the werewolf in there. I think it's got a great build-up, but the payoff is just not there. I think, like I said before, it just ends too soon. And I'm not going to give you spoilers, but if you see it, you'll understand that it just ends way too quick. So if I had to rate American Werewolf in London, as far as werewolf movies go, it's not the best. I still think the best is probably Ginger Snaps. I mean, this and Ginger Snaps are pretty neck and neck, but if I had to give the edge to everything for werewolf movies, it would be Ginger Snaps, just because that movie has better characters. And I felt really kind of sad at the ending of Ginger Snaps more than American Werewolf in London. Plus, Ginger Snaps is funnier. Okay, so yeah. But still, American Werewolf in London, out of 5 stars, I would give it possibly 3.5 maybe. Mainly because of the special effects, and they are astounding, folks. So yeah, that's going to wrap up this particular episode. We are on Instagram and on Facebook. Just type in Cinema Recall Podcast. Follow All the Horror on Twitter as well. I do know that, like, Invasion of the Remake, the IMDb Journeys Podcast, Ryan Alteri, a few other people are doing that, so definitely check that out, folks. Anyways, folks, I'm going to go right now. I gotta leave you, but I hope you all have a great day. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.